Sean, it says we're live.
So yeah, Lindsay ended up selling us. Oh God, he's got pictures of it too. Lindsay ended up sending us some Gold Belly meals for a wedding present, and
What is that?
mm,
Gold belly?
go- it's like meal delivery, but from like fancy places.
Okay.
So she, one of the things she sent us was mushroom spinach lasagna from, where was it called? Some like super super fancy place in New York City. It was so good.
Wait, but how do they? I'm confused.
It's all like packaged specifically for this. So like they work with the restaurants to develop whatever recipe they have to be able to be frozen and shipped.
So what shows up to your door? Frozen food?
Yeah, but it's like
Okay.
fancy frozen food.
Fancy frozen food. Okay,
Yeah,
but
fancy
from
frozen food.
ostensibly from the place.
Yes.
It's like a dry ice situation.
So yeah, it was basically like these huge freezer bags with ice packs in them,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes with like all the instructions on how to do it correctly or how to reheat it correctly. And so the lasagna was very good, and now I'm sleepy.
I see. Moral of the story: go from a gold belly to a lead belly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh wait, did the thing work?
I don't know. Did it?
Oh, Ebenhart posted instead. I don't know when IFT runs.
Oh, in their Discord bot. Is it in general? Where is it?
He posted it in general.
Ah,
Thanks,
it's too
Ebenhart.
fast.
Well, I'm also not paying for IFT, so if
This is like what's his name? John Henry versus the steam shovel. John Henry won. In this case.
what's up, Queen? Fastest guy in Brazil. Ah, Brazil, eh? Petite view, huh? This is interesting.
Petite view. Is it? Can you link this?
Yeah, I'll put it in. I'll just share it in the Twitch chat here.
Does
Pop.
add here work?
In Discord? I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't think.
It highlighted it, but I didn't get a notification. Petite view. So that means that view is a feminine noun?
I don't know.
Because if it was
Alternative distribution of view optimized for progressive enhancement. Okay, it provides the same template syntax and reactivity mental model with standard view. That's nice. However, specifically optimized for sprinkling small amount of interactions on existing HTML page rendered by a server framework. This is nice.
this is so new, I can't even like find.
Oh, he didn't put it on GitHub, or he didn't open it on GitHub on purpose. It seems
Okay.
because he didn't want to deal with people just opening the floodgates of issues.
I like it. I like this.
Where's the
strat.
tweet? Yeah. Very Alpine like. This is cool.
Okay, so it is still view syntax, some kind of subset. Optimized for sprinkling.
I love how Drew, a friend of the show, Drew, now is out here talking like he's working on some Vue stuff, and he was like, "This is so much easier than React."
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. I spent a lot of my day today actually fixing HMR in our applications, so that was
Oof.
fun.
Oof.
Oh God, I need to be stretching.
This is cool. Similar scope to Alpine, but aims to be even more minimal. Less than
Right.
half the size, no transition system. Maybe it could be an opt-in plugin.
I got to tweet Jaggy real quick.
But here's the thing: like, is there a an upgrade path where you use Petite View and then suddenly you're like, I want to use Real View. Can I just hot swap it in and does it like, is it a strict subset?
Doesn't
Probably.
look like it.
Probably not. It's just View inspired. Yeah,
Yeah,
V
tuned.
scope, V effect. Yeah, none of this is traditional.
When you eventually succumb to pressure for management, is what you're saying?
No, it's not that. It's just you start with this and it seems like it's enough until it's not.
Where my DM's at? There's Jaggy. It'll be sufficient for as long as it possibly can be. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Hello.
I'm waking up slowly from my coma.
Your lasagna coma.
Well, also the Canadians are gone today and tomorrow. So
You just let him go on
I-
break like that?
I received one Slack message in the dev channel, and I told him to get out, and then that was it.
GTFO.
Get out. To be, they do it to me too, though. So there's that. But yeah, it was a productive day.
Nice.
Oof, Thomas, no Wi-Fi and a tornado warning. That sounds like the Flatlands.
Welcome to Welcome to not Seattle. Where are you at? I'm going to check this out. Radar scope. Actually, here, what am I doing? We can do this the right way. Where's I'm not seeing Thomas's chats. Is he chatting?
Discord.
Oh. All right.
Whoa,
got the-
OPSEC.
We got the DNC weather forecast here. Ooh, look at this. Oh, look at downtown DC's got a tornado watch. Cool. Let's see what this is going on. Do I pay for
What?
the subscription on here?
What is this?
This is Radar Scope. This is I actually tried to get a job for these guys during the summer internship years ago, and I should have pushed harder. You can't see the overlay. Damn it. This is a radar app that gets you really, really. It's a geeky radar app because, like, if you know what the heck all these different things mean, it's the best thing. Gives you the most resolution, ways to slice and dice the data.
Do you just gatekeep me?
No, I'm just saying.
What is that? Is that a black hole right there?
All right,
what is
so this
that?
is so.
To the left.
Oh, that's where the radar is. That's called the cone of silence. Because the radar can't pick up stuff really close to it.
Yeah, we need to have a talk, Anthony.
You have some thoughts?
Performing experience.
But anyway, I don't
like
see,
that.
I don't see any rotation in this. You know, I'm not a National Weather Service forecaster, but I don't see an obvious sign of rotation. Radar indicated rotation, they're claiming.
Yeah, why don't they have a secondary radar to cover the cone of silence?
That's a great question. They probably do. Let's see. Well, like, there's this one. That kind of fills in the gaps. But now you can't see that. You can't see that. Now the cone of silence is there. But you can see over here.
This makes me uncomfortable.
There's a little bit of overlap. They use the phrase cone of silence in the movie Twister, but they use it incorrectly. Like so many things that are wrong with that movie, meteorologically speaking. But that's its own podcast, I think.
You mean
It
I
could be its
can't
own
like
show.
I can't belt myself to a metal pole in the ground to keep myself safe?
These pipes go at least 20 feet down. Uh-huh. Until you get sliced apart by like a piece of paper.
Right.
No, the UI does not merge them. In fact, it does that on purpose. Normally when you're looking at radar things, it makes this like composite image of all the different things kind of mosaic together and does kind of a best guess. But this lets you see each individual radar site without doing that. Yeah, like if, for example, I click on this one, you can see I don't see the rest of the radar sites. 'Cause that's all the radar sees. And the radar actually is shooting off into a cone shape, right? So like over here, these returns, these echoes are really close to the ground, maybe, you know, a couple hundred feet. But the further you go out, the higher off the ground it is because they're sloping, because the earth is round, spoiler alert, and also because the beams are slanted up. So like in this area, actually it tells you if you can read this. See, like if I'm hovering this radar return is from 7,000 feet up. The further away you go, 6, 9, 20,000. So, yeah, fun things. Anyway, Thomas, listen to the authorities, don't listen to me.
Oh my gosh. Up and downs over here.
Or were you waiting on Jamie to?
Oh, I think she's back. I think we're safe.
Yeah, you can't really merge. You can't really do the merging thing because they're the only thing that's exactly at one elevation is like this ring. You imagine a cone, upside down cone. The only thing that's at that elevation is a very narrow ring. At that elevation, but that's what the composite things attempt to do is they attempt to kind of like flatten it out and interpolate. I don't know any more about it than that, but yeah. You can do cool things too, like you can make 3D images because it actually does multiple scans at different angles. So it's like half a degree, 1.5 degrees, 2.5 degrees. They do that to get a better like vertical picture. And yeah, that program doesn't do that. I'm sorry, Sean. Hi.
Hmm.
What's happening?
I was just looking at Petite View.
Audio hijack. We gonna talk about it now? We're gonna give us your hot takes. Oh my god.
I would say do not use until it's released.
What, you mean version 0.0.2 isn't gonna cut it for production?
The package JSON was bumped one time.
That ought to be enough for anyone.
Actually, no, it wasn't because it starts out at 1.0 if you don't change it, I believe.
I mean, how many years was Gmail in beta? That was fine.
Doesn't get rave reviews, does it?
What's wrong with Gmail?
A lot of people say it's slow and hardly works. I've never had problems, though. All right. I'm pushing the button.
Oh, all right. We're doing this. Cool. I am recording.
Same.
How are you?
I'm trying to keep my head above sleep here.
Let's get you fired up. Let's talk about TypeScript.
We can talk about typing refs in React. Let's talk about that.
Do we have to?
You wanted it.
But first you got to clap. Can you do it? Are you awake enough to clap?
Who's counting?
No, it's your turn.
Oh, ready? 1, 2, 3. That's good enough.
Bam.
It's
I was
that
waiting for you,
lasagna.
waiting for me, waiting for you.
That lasagna
Anthony, you were a
CD.
little late. We're going to have to redo it again. Anthony was late.
Anthony's apartment must be like, I don't even know, like some evil genius workshop or lair that you see in the movies. These blog posts he's putting out. Pretty cool.
Except-
My favorite thing was like, why would we do this? Because we can. Moving on.
I didn't get a chance to look at this. Could we talk about this for a second?
We'll have to find the link. Monstrosities is right. No, it's interesting stuff. It's funny. It's just
I like these thought experiments, doing things just because you can. Come on.
right. That was my
What better
favorite part
way?
about it. Yeah.
What better way to learn?
Where was it? The Void? Did you put it in the Void in the Discord?
We have too many channels, Sean.
It's not in links, is it?
Oh, self promo.
Self promo. There we go.
We're
Found it.
promoting the self promo. All right, you talk about this. It says it's a 10-minute read, so you talk and I'm going to read.
Well, let me share some links here. Bam. Bam. All right. So the title of it is Creating a Mesh of Monolithic Microservices with StepZen and Redwood, which I thought as soon as I saw a mesh of monolithic microservices, I was like, interesting. Yeah, I don't know. That's about it. Basically, a whole bunch of monoliths stitched together.
So, at what point does a monolith? At what point do you transition from monolith to microservice, Sean?
That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, Anthony's like, that's how they get you, right? It shows how you can combine multiple GraphQL APIs generated with Redwood into a single StepZen schema that is then queried from another Redwood app.
Okay. So this is sort of demonstrating. It's a it's a greenfield solution to a brownfield problem. Like you do this only because you have to, not because this is a good idea, right?
Well, it's kind of like the schema federation we were talking about last week, right? You have multiple apps that sort of you might have one Redwood app that has this sort of piece of information, another app that has the other piece of information, and you stitch together with StepZen, and then you just have your other Redwood app that just uses the stitched piece of information. So you got yourself a gateway, right?
It sounds extremely expensive.
It's for people who heard about separation of concerns and got confused. Yeah. Well, I mean, I have all these side projects that I spun up, and then maybe somehow they like seem to work together, and so I just put them in a mesh, and now I've got Sean.dev, everything together.
It's funny you say that though, because I actually had that idea once, where just having my own personal API where it was just things that I cared about in my life, and then I could just put them on there. It's kind of like an IFTTT thing. Yeah. But you just have your own endpoint that just has a mishmash of random stuff. I want a JSON response with the weather at my home location, whatever. That's one API endpoint. I want to check the temperature on my pool. I don't know. I don't have a pool, but I just thought that would be fun to have your own basically personal API that's just for you.
I've thought a lot about this as well, to be honest. I just haven't done it yet. Could be a good fun project. I don't know. My favorite thing about Anthony's posts though are that he's just having fun, just experimenting, having fun, building stuff for fun because he can. On some level that actually encourages me and makes me want to do this. The past few episodes we've been talking about how I've been going from like I felt like I was in a super big rut and just not really enjoying stuff anymore, and I'm kind of on the upswing of that now where I'm just sort of like building stuff on the side for fun, and it's actually fun. It's not out of compulsion, it's out of fun. So yeah, the other night I was working on something and I was having fun, and then I looked at the clock and it was like 1:30 a.m. I was like, I haven't stayed up this late in who knows how long, but it was kind of fun to get into that zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm finding it harder and harder for me personally to get into that zone recently, increasingly as time goes on. I don't know, maybe it's a phase. Maybe I just don't have the spark or the time or energy to do it right now, but maybe I'll get back to it.
I think that some of it, like going over to MetaLab, has helped me there a lot because I have more separation of work and non-work time, which has been hugely beneficial. There are other parts of it too, like the basically, I guess the calls that I'm having with my coach where I'm not allowed to talk about work, or I'm not allowed to deflect with work rather, have been also really helpful. But also, I've been trying to come out of this idea where it's all business, it's all serious, it's all professional, and I think it was, I got there because I was subscribing too much into or maybe surrounding myself too much into the culture of always keep grinding, always keep building, always keep shipping kind of stuff. And not there's anything wrong with that, but I think for me, after a while, it had that effect where I didn't. If I wasn't doing that, I felt guilty, or I felt like I was wasting time, or I felt like I was missing an opportunity, possibly. And that in turn led me to just become tired and not enjoy stuff. So I'm not saying that's what's going on with you, but that's what happened with me for sure. So
I thought that having a quote unquote normal job, working for Dockyard, was going to be easier as well, because I thought it would be better compartmentalized. They're very protective. Everyone's very protective of their time, and respectful of each other's time, and that is totally panned out. That is true. That's not. I'm not just saying that's the way things are. But there's something wrong with me. Like at the end of the day, I'm having a lot of trouble disconnecting. It's not like I'm working. Like at 5:00, I literally close the laptop and walk upstairs. Like there's nothing, right? I'm not coming back down to check email. I'm not checking Slack. I don't have Slack on my phone. I don't have email on my phone. I don't even have my work calendar on my phone, right? Just totally gone. But I just feel like maybe I'm just so drained at the end of the day, from whether it's from pairing or just mental exertion, or maybe it's the speed that we're doing things at. I don't know. I haven't really nailed it down yet and how I'm going to fix it either, but that's kind of where I'm at recently.
Yeah. Like you're having trouble not thinking about it, or kind of like you said, getting that separation, right? Kind of removing your mind from that space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like you find yourself continuing to think about it, even though you go upstairs and don't have. Yeah. For like what helped me a lot when I was working with DK was just something like jujitsu, where I didn't have the option. Like I couldn't be thinking about work, otherwise I'd be getting choked or losing, basically. So I don't know. Yeah, that's what helped me, but I'm sure that doesn't work for everybody. And it's not like you can just go and get into a jiu-jitsu gym right now because of COVID, stuff like that. But I don't know.
I'll go wrestle with Bucky.
Things that were physically like taxing or exhausting helped me a lot.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, maybe that might help, but yeah, I've been sort of on the other side of that, of actually starting to feel better. It took a long time. I've been at MetaLab for almost 11 months, I think now. So yeah, almost a year, but we're getting there.
The project that never ends, right? In a good way.
It ends in it ends in October, and then I'll be on something else. I feel like somebody might know what it is, but they haven't told me yet. I'm pretty sure it's going to be like a full stack thing, so that should be interesting. I've been actually kind of like Prisma actually had Prisma Day recently, and they were talking about things that they've been working on and a lot of sort of upcoming stuff. There were quite a few like, here's what I did with Prisma recently conversations as well, and it seems like Prisma is getting to a point in where it's still missing a lot of stuff that other ORMs are just going to have. Like it only, as of like last week or maybe earlier this week, it just got like the ability to do cascading deletes.
Oh man.
So I wouldn't say it's like super, production ready. Like you can probably do a lot of stuff with it if you need to. And of course you could have done cascading stuff, via code, which a lot of people do anyway. So it wasn't a showstopper, but it feels like it's catching up. And one of the places where it's pretty glaring to me that it's catching up, I guess maybe purely in convenience, is like especially around testing strategy things. So they have a couple of code snippets in their documentation now where they're like, if you need to unit test your stuff, here's the approach you can take. If you need to end-to-end stuff, here's the approach you can take. But currently it's like throw it in Docker and spin up a Docker container every time you want to run your tests. And so basically it's slow and time consuming, resource costly. And that's one thing that I really haven't enjoyed or been spoiled by with ORMs I've used in the past with Ecto and of course Active Record is it's just there. You don't have to think about it. The strategy is there. So with, Prisma, it's coming a long way, but there's still a lot of questions like, how are we going to do tests? Are we going to end everything? Are we going to mock the SQL calls out? Are we going to, make a separate test database? Like, then how do we do seed data, factories, tests, and stuff like that, or test factories and stuff? So the community is, what I'm getting at is the community is having more of these conversations. So EchoBind, I think they're a consultancy, but they have a starter called Bison, I want to say, not to be confused with like the Golang Bison, but they have a starter called Bison, which is like Next and GraphQL and Prisma with Postgres and some other things. And so they're kind of like leading a lot of these discussions around the Prisma, like the greater Prisma ecosystem around testing and things like that. So it's cool to see some sort of traction picking up and conversations picking up around this. It's encouraging. So, I think it's coming along, but it's still like not quite there, I guess. I don't know. I forget what the original point was here.
Well, we were just talking about what were we talking about? Well, yeah, I'm surprised all that stuff is not in there. Like, for as many people that are using Prisma, and it definitely seems to be gaining traction, I think, from what I've seen at least. Or heard.
Yeah, it's gaining a lot of traction.
It's still surprising me what's still missing. Like that seems like I want to say low hanging fruit, but it's that's base functionality as far as I'm concerned. But
Well, I think part of the issue is that it has so much traction now, and so there are like apps in production using this stuff, so they can't just it's not like a 0.5 or whatever where they just shoot out breaking changes into things. So it's a huge undertaking there, but also I think a lot of the undertaking came from the client was so nice to use because it generates you have it's kind of like GraphQL where you have I don't know if you've used Prisma or looked at it really, but you have an SDL. So like with GraphQL, you kind of define what your relationships are and it can generate code for you, right? With Prisma, you have a Prisma schema definition where you kind of like say, these are my models, here are my relationships, here are my attributes, here are my columns. Basically, it's like your schema.rb file in a sense. And then from that, it generates so Anthony's bringing up some points here I'll talk about in a second. But from the schema definition file, it generates a Prisma client, which is completely type safe for you. So it's actually really, really nice to use because as you're writing your code, it's like tab, enter. Okay, everything I need is here. It reminds you, how to connect relationships, how to do everything. And if you do it wrong, it fails. If you change the database schema, it recompiles, and then suddenly you have a nice list of places you need to go fix your app that no longer conform. So like the experience of using it is really nice. So it's interesting because I feel like that experience came first, and now they're kind of like building out the maturity side of it or the back end side of it. So it's coming along, and it's encouraging to see more of these conversations happening. But it's not an easy thing. It's certainly not an easy thing to do, especially trying to, as people are using it, trying to like build a migration system so you're not like totally screwing people over. And luckily, like the migration system is complete now, so you can actually generate new migrations and have like a more familiar story there. But yeah,
so what's semantic versioning's for, Sean? 2.0. Call it 2.0 and you do what you want.
Everyone leaves. It's Angular 2 all over again.
Is there even 1.0 in Prisma?
Yes, I think. I don't actually know what version it is, but I know that it's like...
I'm just trolling.
A lot of the pieces are like different versions, right? So you have like the Prisma core, and then you have like the Migrate, which is like the whole migration side of it, and that's kind of like released separately. So it's all kind of like versioned independently.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
But it sure is nice to use.
That's cool. It'd be cool if you had some kind of editor plugin functionality where as you're typing in these things and it actually is running the queries on your test database and just showing you real data. Because it's all type safe and it should know everything. Should be able to just kind of run queries. Might be fun.
So they have a VS Code plugin that they make, and it's actually really nice. So as you're updating the schema definition file, so like let's say you have a model of like stories and a model of reactions. If you go into your model for stories and then make a field called reactions, and you tell it the type is reaction or array of reactions, it'll automatically like fill out the relation fields and indexes for you, and also can transparently just handle a join table if you need it as well. So as you're typing, it'll actually update your schema definition file of your models to make it like work correctly. It also lints it for you too, so it'll catch errors that you're making as well.
All I do is just write raw SQL and Cold Fusion. I don't see why you need anything more than that, Sean.
I don't know. Prisma, yeah, it's nice. I think like if I could hibernate for a year and then wake up, I'm like, oh, this is great, you know. But yeah, it's still, I don't know. That's kind of like where I'm at with Node. Like things are getting a lot better in my opinion. I don't have an extensive history with Node, but like when looking at it, the tools that I have to use compared to what tools I've used in the past, it sort of feels like this is existed for years over here. Why aren't we here yet over here? But
did you want to address some of these points here in the chat from Anthony? He said he wanted to get back to these.
Oh, he's just talking about how do I
Oh, he got him mostly.
circle
Okay.
back? Yeah, we'll have to edit that, I suppose. But I
No,
was like,
that's
how do
okay.
I stitch this back in?
No, that's all right.
But yeah, it's been all right. You know, I still like, I feel capable with Node. I feel especially on the client side, like that's known to me. I've been doing it for a long time. I'm getting more capable with the API side. I'm sort of, as I'm writing more code, I'm sort of forming my own opinions on things which Node wants you to do. There are conventions you can buy into, but largely it's sort of Lego style building of things. And I'm feeling more comfortable. So it's fun to me now to like look at hot takes about JS, and I actually feel like I have opinions of them. So greater than 14, Anthony. Node 16, all right?
You got to start tweeting those hot takes out there, Sean. Get some good productive discussion going.
Well, it's been actually really fun. So in the dev channel for my project specifically, I share tweets or things like this, and just kind of talk with the other devs and just what are your thoughts, And one of them recently, I'll have to put the link in the show notes. I can't remember the handle off the top of my head, but someone tweeted, "Hey, what's your most controversial JavaScript hot take?" And then the response was, "All JS functions should either accept one argument or an object."
You're getting into like named parameters, named arguments territory.
Right. Well, I mean, for example, like if someone's really familiar with React already, you're already doing this. All React components take an object of props. If you're dealing with refs or forward ref, then you have two arguments. You have object of props and a ref. So basically, they're saying that this simplifies a lot of edge cases. You don't have to worry about developing inconsistencies in like parameter ordering or like these weird things that people might complain about in the future. Cough redux, cough.
There's a statute of limitations for how many arguments a function should have, and it's more than 2, but less than
3,
5. Like there's a number, but it's not exactly 1.
Right. I mean, I still tend to write it more similarly to how I might write Elixir, right? So I'll do the most important things up front and then just to take an options object or some sort of data structure afterwards. The nice thing with TypeScript especially is that if you have an object, it's all still strongly typed. So you get all there's nice auto completion and type checking on that stuff as well. But I guess the argument with using an object is you don't have to worry about ordering. You don't have to worry about necessarily naming. Changing the surface area of a function is a little bit easier as well because you could just slap a new thing in there if you need to, which makes me feel a little weird, but valid, I suppose. So, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at what point are you writing application code, and at what point are you designing a library?
Sure.
That kind of pattern of having a big blobby option thing makes sense in a library because it gives you a lot of flexibility to add and change, not change, but mostly add, right? Without breaking the API.
Yeah.
I think that's valid for applications too, but boy, I guess that's the point of a hot take, right? Just to get a reaction.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying too, but especially in the JS world, it's a pretty common thing. So it's a very sort of known pattern. Again, like with React, you're already doing it. So
it's a great idea because it does push you in the right directions for a lot of solutions that would actually benefit from that kind of pattern.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know if there are any like performance issues or things to worry about with that. If you're if you're at that level, then yeah, if you're at that level, then maybe you have other issues to worry about. But
should we just be writing in Crystal?
Could be, yeah, you could be using Crystal. So yeah, it's I'm getting comfortable. Like I'm at a more of a place where it's like I can take it or leave it. Like I'm not going to necessarily pick another language over it because of a lot of the convenience I get from using it, but it's not like my favorite thing to do in the world. I think this actually has helped me sort of transition from closer to more like being involved, like being interested in the actual issue I'm solving. So the tech is largely a consequence of the problem that I'm trying to solve, and most problems I'm trying to solve currently doesn't matter what I pick. So that's sort of been my default. Which actually feels really good because I think for a long time, like probably years even, I've been more, I think like the tech sort of dictated more the problems I was interested in solving first. Anthony, you have a problem and it's because no one else on your team knows JavaScript? What are they using? What do they know? Go? Have you tried picking up Go at all? Or are you just sticking in JS land? Bunch of old school API devs. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all right.
Boy, I touched something and that's the wrong webcam. And yeah, my USB hub just ate itself.
Yeah, I'm in a similar place, Anthony, where I'm interested in learning more about it, or it's a very, I feel like it's a very useful tool to know, ecosystem to know. And I interviewed for a job at one point, and I built an API with Go, and then I promptly forgot everything because COVID happened and they froze hiring, so I no longer needed to know it immediately. It was very different from anything that I had tried before, so it was kind of fun. Yeah, where's all the stuff? It's very Node-like you got to build all this stuff. What are you talking about? Just build it. Like that's kind of the response I was getting. Oh, you don't need all this stuff though. Just it's simple, right? That's kind of the thing. Yeah, it was very much like that. But in my opinion, like Node is actually a lot like that as well. It's just the ecosystem's larger.
Could we do another clap just in case I'm out of sync now?
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
You have to count though.
Fine. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thanks. Yeah, USB hub just was on the fritz. Apologies.
Yikes. So, yeah, I'm getting to that place where the technology is less of a driving factor for the problems I want to solve, and the problems I want to solve are more of a driving factor of what technology I might choose to solve it with. And it turns out that most of the problems I'm trying to solve right now, or problems I'm trying to solve for Jamie right now, can just be done with TS pretty easily.
Cool. Until you join us on our game dev jam. What's it's Paul's thing?
Yeah. Ludum Dare.
Ludum Dare.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, like I'm happy where I'm at with MetaLab. For me, I guess being more transparent about personal stuff. I think like in the past, I've always been like loyal to a fault. I think that's a lot like has to do with like my upbringing and things like that. And so I'm trying to, as I get older, I'm trying to learn the balance of like, I think some level of loyalty is good and doing right by people that trust you to do something. I think that's important. But also I think that going too far that direction is not great for you. And I've always kind of gone that route of like loyal to a fault, kind of putting my needs aside. And so I'm trying to find that balance. And so I'm not announcing I'm leaving MetaLab at all. Okay. If anybody from MetaLab hears this, but I'm just, I'm looking around and there's like, if I do want to say I get really sick of front end or get really interested in back end, or I want to make a move, what's out there? Like what kind of maximize my chances of doing something that I want to do, and not sort of being stuck in one sort of job or one sort of ecosystem. And so I have a lot of contacts, and a lot of companies they use Go a lot, so that's pretty easy cannon fodder for me. Like it's accessible, ecosystem's big. I know people that know it and know it really well, so I've been kind of picking around Go a little bit again now that I'm feeling more confident and comfortable with Node and TypeScript and React and that ecosystem. So I have a little more bandwidth now to explore a bit.
Yeah, and I also I feel maybe this is coming from a really privileged position, so I apologize if this sounds wrong to anyone, but if if a company that I would want to work for would be hiring me for my ability as a developer, not necessarily my ability with a certain set of technologies, right?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, that helps, that's, you have to have some familiarity or understanding, but it's at some point, learning a new language, learning a new library, it's all the same. And if someone kind of knows that you're committed and willing to, is willing to bring you on to learn, and, there's an upstart cost of you learning the new thing and getting up to speed, and they're willing to take the risk, that's a company that you want to work for, and if you can afford to be picky, then you should do that. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a specific example of that kind of opportunity, but I'm sure that those opportunities are out there, especially when you have a network of people you can, who can vouch for you.
I think having the network of people vouching for you goes a long way in that regard. And you're totally right. I don't think it's a really good counterpoint to what I was saying. I don't think that picking up something like Go specifically is making it easy for me to. I guess it would be easier for me to pass entry level code tests or whatever, the first interviews. But I think maybe what's more interesting to me in that regard is talking about not leaving front end, but being more interested in other areas that are not front end or working with the database, because that's predominantly my experience. So, case in point, I asked Greg, hey, what do you think would be a fun, project for me to work on? And it would kind of stress me a little bit. He was like, well, I've been wanting to build a reverse proxy so I could, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I know some of those words, so that's kind of what I'm trying to angle for, is something that, I could do web stuff with it, I guess, but, something that kind of gets me out of that wheelhouse. I feel like Go is used in networking a lot. That's something I don't know much about. And so it could be interesting to poke into that side of things too. So, Anthony, reversing linked lists, obviously. So yeah, I think maybe that's more what I'm after, is more sort of experience across the board, and not necessarily I'm an expert in Go and you should hire me to optimize your systems, because that takes a long time. But yeah, I'm interested in newer experiences, I suppose, or problems I've never solved before.
Yeah, definitely. Just like when we were learning development and how you were, you're doing it to solve a problem that you wanted to solve. Like you mentioned, didn't you do some really basic game dev stuff early on? Were you talking about that?
Yeah, in high school. But
right.
Yeah.
Right, but that's fun because you like games. You want to build games, so you do some stuff to, I don't know, put little character on the screen or whatever.
In QBasic.
QBasic.
Yeah, I built my final project in the class in high school was, I forget what the game is called now, Scorched Earth or something like that, where you have two hills that shoot each other. Yeah.
Oh, like the tanks.
QBasic. Yep.
That's cool. And you do a little parabolic equation and.
Yeah, and then I talked about my friend Alex that made Breakout game complete with a map editor and save files.
Dude, I tried to make Pong in VB Visual Basic 5 or 6, and I could never get the hit detection right. I just couldn't do it. I tried over and over and over and re-implemented that thing. No matter what I did, the ball would careen off in different directions. The ball would get stuck in the paddle. The ball would man. If only I had Unity, just make it a solid object or whatever, or basic object. Add the physics implementation and interface, and away you go.
Yeah, that would be cool. So I guess what's funny is I was talking, maybe I think I mentioned this before we started recording, but it's funny to think about the last few months before joining Meta Lab. So last year, for example, and I was kind of in a tailspin of having to, going from learning Go for an interview and then trying to learn Laravel and PHP and then going into Node, like three pretty different ecosystems, and just kind of feeling like I lost my footing altogether. Like, can I even really program anymore? Kind of questions. And fast forward a year, and now I'm like going back into Go and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I don't remember any of this stuff. It's all completely new to me again, right, from scratch. But my response, my sort of like immediate responses to it aren't feeling like I've lost my ability to program. It's remembering, oh, okay, yeah, like that's fine. We just have to spend a week on this and we'll be back to where we were, sort of response. So that feels actually really good to sort of have the change in a base response to that problem.
Yeah. Yep. I get that a lot when looking at my own code. It goes from what the hell was I thinking to, oh yeah, I did it this way because to this code is brilliant. Why don't I write code that's this clean anymore?
Yeah. And I think it's also been helping a lot too, having a couple of side projects that I'm working on over time. So you get past the phase that everyone hates to be in, which is building off, scaffolding the project, getting the MVP out the door. That, like, I also was stuck on that for a long time, just kind of like always getting stuck in that phase. And so anyway, like I mentioned Rodinia last week, not that there's a lot to it, but it's fun to like revisit it and look at things and make notes, be like, oh, I need to fix that, and leave notes for myself like, this is bad, not good. So at some point I'll address this, but coming in and picking an issue and then just working on it for a little bit. And there was this like switch of, it's hard to describe, but the switch from like sitting down to work on it for fun, it felt like hustling before. Again, like the idea of like being stuck in that always be shipping sort of business, sort of how can I sell this thing or make money with it thing. That shift from that to, oh, this is just primarily a learning tool. Like maybe people might use it, that's cool, but it's primarily a learning tool. Like that took a lot of the pressure off, and it makes it kind of fun to, don't Anthony's dogpiling on me now, but it makes it fun to, I guess that is correct. Done is the engine of more, as he says, but it makes it fun to actually reflect on the stuff you're writing, look at it. Like you said, you look at it and you think, what was I thinking? I don't really go back to DK's code base or anything like that and look at stuff. Maybe I should, but this gives me a project where I can practically do that. What was I thinking? And fix it.
Sean, you know what just happened there, right? You just unironically quoted the Cult of Dun.
I quoted Anthony, who was quoting the Cult of Dun.
You still said it. I heard it. It's on record.
Yeah. So I feel like I'm off that plateau that I was on for a long time. And I'm sure everyone listening was like, get on with it. You know what I mean? Spamming 11 in the chat.
Start the game already. Wait, what's 11?
Yeah. I think it start the game already.
Oh, yeah.
From Age of Empires. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I feel like I've actually started the game now. So that feels nice.
You've only just begun.
Yeah.
Cool. I was trying to think of a segue into this quick little topic I had. Did you have any more? I just had a couple of things here that I thought were interesting. Okay. So I have this segue formed in my head. It goes something like I'm trying too hard to make this easy on myself to edit. So looking at your old code is one thing, right? But in battling with battling against your own experience with code when it hasn't been written yet, challenging your own assumptions, that's something that I've been struggling with lately, because I've been, developing by myself in my own little world for so long, and then having been thrust onto a team that has completely different dynamics and different requirements for the project and size of the project and scope, and everything is different. The only thing that's the same is like the tech I'm using, and I'm still using VS Code, right? Those are the only two parallels between code that I used to write and code that I'm writing now that I'm getting paid to write. And
Right.
so having to adjust basically everything I know about the development process has been is part of that difficulty for me. We had to do work on a feature this week, and it was on its head a very simple feature. It involved subdomains. Subdomains are sort of leaky abstraction throughout your entire app, right? Where it just seems easy, like, oh, it's just another part of the URL. But then it's like, well, what happens when we click on a link? What happens when you redirect? What about cookies? What about what subdomain am I on? Does it matter for like the routes? Lots and lots of questions, lots of a hidden complexity there. And so we had to do this feature for the subdomain thing, and I immediately in my head started designing a system. I was like, well, okay, if we start off with this base functionality where we take the subdomain and we have this plug that's in the request pipeline that sets this thing up, then things downstream from us can consume that, and then they can use it as they need. And so I implemented that. I was like, okay, great. We've got this whole thing built out so that it can be consumed in a general way, because subdomains are a general purpose thing that lots of different parts of the app have to consume. Great. And then we started to run into problems with the way I implemented it. They're inconsequential to the point of the story, but we kept running into like these little paper cuts. I designed the system. It was so general purpose that I couldn't actually make it fit the problem I was trying to solve.
Right.
And so I was like, okay. And we probably spent a couple hours on this, going over this thing. Built up this beautiful, perfect object, and then found all the cracks in it. So I was like, okay, git stash, shelve those changes for a moment. And I'm like, I was getting really frustrated at this point. Let's do the thing that we need to do first and then solve backwards from there, right? We have to solve this one particular use case. Let's do that and then see what that looks like and then figure out how to generalize it. And that's what we did. And that ended up being good enough. Like, we solved this very, very specific use case, and it ended up being like the perfect solution because it was way cleaner, way more explicit, didn't have code spread across 5 different files, right? It's just literally one function, right? But the power that we were able to extract from just having this one function, and then we just kind of centered around it, that it was really empowering. And at the end of the day, like, the PR that we ended up submitting was way smaller and way less complicated and had less sort of, domain knowledge than we needed. And I just keep going back to the you ain't gonna need it mantra, right? Like, solve the problem you have, and sometimes that is good enough until it's not. But then that's a future problem. So
Yeah.
when you got to ship something, that I just keep learning that lesson over and over again. Just doing the minimal thing, and in most cases, minimal literally means the minimum amount of lines of code, the smallest diffs possible.
Yeah, there's a term for this. I just read it the other day, actually. Something reveal. It's like something revealing. It has revealing in the name. It's one of these code patterns, right? There's like a million different patterns that you could apply.
Emergent behavior.
Yes, emergent design. Exactly.
Emergent design.
Yeah, emergent design. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's how I would have solved the problem as a beginner developer, right? Mm-hmm. You just solve the immediate problem you have at hand. Oh, there's an error. Oh, I'll just fix the error. You don't. And then as an intermediate developer, you're like, oh, well, this is a symptom of a larger problem. And then you have to solve the larger problem and re-architect and refactor. And then there's like a downslope of the curve where you're back to just solve the problem as an experienced developer. There's a graph joke in there somewhere, Sean. Podcasts are the perfect medium for
right.
telling graph jokes.
Imagery.
Yeah.
It's essentially the alt text, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So exactly. So it's funny that you mentioned that because I was just reading about emergent design and you brought it to memory. So I have to go and review my notes on it later. So you triggered that, which is great. But
Cool.
yeah, the idea of definitely like working with other developers and then knowing kind of like what their skill level is, and then the types of solutions you get in the EMRs are sort of predictable. Oh, this one's probably going to be a system, and it doesn't need to be, right? This one's probably going to be a little bit too naive. It's really interesting to kind of observe these things. But on the topic of Yagni ain't going to need it, right? I actually was reading a blog post today by Simon and Wilson called "Pagnies Probably Are Going to Need It," and so I'll grab a link to for the show notes as well. But this article is just talking about, hey, these are things that you like. Yagni is right. Like for a lot of things, you probably aren't going to need it, but there are some things that you probably will end up needing, or are going beyond probably will need, and are more like certainties, right? So a few things on this list are like automated deploys, for example. That maybe like a lot of people might argue that, but like nothing kills productivity faster if you can't remember how to ship it out, right? So having that continuous integration or like having a testing framework set up can be one of them. API pagination is another example, right? Because the MVP, the simplest way would just be list it all until your app slows to a crawl, which actually I have that problem now. One of my friends is implementing pagination for Rodinia, and then I added emoji reactions, which adds a couple of more tables into the mix. And so now it's like, we need pagination, and we need it soon. So API pagination is one of them. Detailed API logs, yes, 100%. Something that you'll probably need.
I'm sorry, I hate this list.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because these are all very, very specific things that this person has probably had in the past. But that says nothing about what anyone else needs, and also says nothing about your application, like your application's need. Like this is what leads to bloat, you know?
You'd say that detailed logging leads to bloat?
No, bloat in terms of everything's a case-by-case basis, Sean.
You'd say that slapping pagination on an API listing is case-by-case basis?
Only Sith steal in absolutes, Sean.
That's right.
Sith or Siths? Anyway, what's the plural Sith? Sith-I.
What do you? What would be a Pagni on your list?
That's a great question. I'm glad you asked.
I'm just firing up a comment on this blog post here. So,
what?
Signed, Rockwell P. Schrock.
No. What's my Pagni? What are you gonna need more often than not? Documentation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Even if you don't have tests, if you don't have CI, if you don't have CD, if you have docs, at least when you get hit by a bus or when you win the lottery, at least someone can mentally reconstruct what your crazy brain was thinking.
Sure. That's definitely true. The funny thing is, like, going through this blog post, I was like, yeah, a lot of these are, I mean, some of them I just inherited because of Phoenix, right? When I was working on DK, like structured logging and things, it never fails. Bug happened. Nobody can tell me how it happened. I only have like structured logging to look at to try to piece things together. Like that saved my butt so many times. The pagination thing I just talked about, performance stuff. And then the other thing, which is really funny, I didn't mention, but one of the last things on the list is a bookmarkable interface for executing read-only SQL queries against your database. I kid you not, I still have a bare document full of snippets I could paste in a IEX session to do different things I needed to do in the database.
That's fair.
Yeah, I still have it, and I did not delete it just in case. Otherwise, you could be like Anthony, who prefers that their work die with it.
That's that's some job security right there.
Right. You can't kill me. Yeah, I just thought it was a funny term, Pagni. And I was thinking about what? Yeah, like, I agree. I could, some of these are take it or leave it, but I agree with a lot of them because they've come in handy for me very specifically on DK. So,
yeah, I feel like every one of those yes, they're good ideas. I was kind of
Yeah.
yanking your chain, but they all come with qualifiers. If you're doing an API that needs to be consumed by other people, then you probably need X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the structured logging thing. If I don't have it, I feel anxiety. 'Cause I'm like, how do I know? How do
Well,
I
yeah,
know?
we're still trying to figure out the logging piece at Dockyard for this application, and it is problematic because now bugs are, the production or the QA environment is starting to get buggy. Right, things are showing up. QA is finding things. They're good at it, but we're having trouble pinpointing what's going on. App Signal's blowing up and getting like 50 emails in 5 minutes because of some error. We had a fun one where we blew through a whole month's quota of API requests, like 500,000 API requests in like a week. That was fun. Yep.
You use up all of your Sentry's error logging quota for some stupid thing. Happens many times to me.
Well, that was actually a fun little bug. I guess I could talk about that. I don't know. It was a really quick one. It was just really dumb. I'm using a service called IP Stack, where you feed it an IP address and it gives you location metadata. Kind of guesses your country, your approximate location. We use that for localization and stuff.
Sure.
But we had that run on every page request, but we also cache it in the session cookie, so we don't have to hit it every time, right? You're in a browser, the first page request, we get your info, and then it's in your session cookie, so we don't have to refetch it. Fine. Guess what doesn't use session cookies? Google Load Balancer's health checks,
Oh no.
which fire off, once every 10 seconds or something. And so I was able to actually, by looking at the number of API requests in, because it tells you how much of the quota you use per day, I was able to actually do the math out and be like, there's something hitting our API endpoints every 10 seconds. Like it's an even multiple of, whatever it was. It was 30 seconds or something. The math worked out exactly. I could
That's
see
funny.
when load balancers were spun up and broken down. And the fix was easy. Just point the load balancer at a /health or whatever. That is just a 200 response, and it bypasses all that stuff. But it took a week of burning through all of our quota that we paid for to find that.
We had something similar happen at MetaLab this last week as well, where I wake up and I get an email from GitHub, and it's like, you've used 70% of your available action runtime or action minutes or whatever. I was like,
no.
Okay. Not my job. Continue on with my morning. You've used 80% of your, I was like, okay. Okay. And so I'm like getting coffee and stuff. You've used 90%. I was like, oh no. And so I jump into, by the time I get into the work Slack and screenshot it, it's like, you've used 100%. And I was like, hey, does anyone else know about this? I can't be the only one out of 50 people getting this email address or getting this email from GitHub to my address. And yeah, so then like people start jumping in and digging through it and trying to figure out what the cause was. I left before. I think it was a combination of things, but a newer project had started and they were running builds against a Mac environment, which took way longer than a Linux environment. And so like every small change to this thing would burn up like 30 minutes of its build time. Yeah. So anyway, fun thing where I was like, hey, does anyone else seen this troubling email that's probably costing us money as we speak?
Oh boy.
Yeah. That was fun. I like solving problems like that, having to dig through. I guess one piece of advice I will give if you're thinking about log stashing, don't pick a new provider. I want new companies to survive and I want competition. But I've been burned in the past where I picked somebody that seemed awesome, they had some nice features. A year later they're gone. So I'm like, now what am I gonna do? Now I have all this work to do. I don't work for this company anymore. You know what I mean? It should be someone else's problem, but there's no devs working on it, so it's my problem. And yeah, just use the old boring ones. They aren't going away.
Just SCP your logs to a server somewhere.
Yeah, rip Timber. Exactly. That's the one that got me. It was nice while it lasted, though.
Timber's gone?
Yeah.
I never used it. I know I've heard of it. That's funny. I mean, I
In fact,
I call that I got burned by parse, so I call that the parse syndrome or something.
yeah, the timber syndrome. That part, your parse is my timber.
Sure.
Yeah, bummer. Bummer. Hey, that could be a good. I need to implement logs for Rodinia anyway, so
Just gonna bring in the whole boat. Well, you already
Just bring
punted
it in.
off. You already punted off.
yeah. I put it off, but like I'm using I'm using Next. I'm not reinventing a lot of the wheels on the front end side of things. I did that on purpose because I do that every day at work. So reinvent wheels, that is. Yeah, there's more wheels that I think are fun and educational for me to be reinventing currently for this project. So what's up, Bucky?
Yeah.
Hey, Volume Man. I don't know. I don't think they were acquired. Yeah.
Ran out of money. They
So am I doing?
They clear cut the log forest.
Am I doing
I get
this?
it.
Am I-
Timber, log. Do you get it? Do you
Yeah.
get it, Sean?
Are we doing this though? Are we building a log ingesting system with Go?
No, there's so many, Sean.
Are we
And
doing
besides,
it?
we're doing it in Crystal anyways.
That's true. Yeah. But we're doing it though, right? But build it twice. How about that?
We need to put a GraphQL StepZen API endpoint in front of it.
Where's Anthony? You're hired. We got a job for you. You're the man for this job.
CloudWatch. CloudWatch. Has its
Speaking
own-
like talking about Elixir stuff, shout out to Logflare. I think it's still called. Friend of the show, Chase Gradberry. Logflare. I think way back, maybe like last year, 2 years ago, or something like that. We were conversing on Twitter, and he was showing me Logflare and how it was using LiveView and just how absurdly fast it was.
it's a future.
Yeah,
Don't be left behind, Sean.
Logflare is pretty cool. Yeah, I think the if you go to the homepage, there's like these live counters happening. That's LiveView, and those are actual real numbers. It's not some sort of like placeholder animation. Those are real things. Pretty neat.
Is there a JS technology that's like LiveView? Like you're running JavaScript on the server, but it's rendered as plain HTML on the client?
Yeah. Remix
Why?
being one of them.
Why? No, but like live rendering as you're clicking around a page on the server. Stateful.
Oh, you mean piping HTML over?
yeah, and running Node like hosted view components where it's just dumb HTML pushed to the client.
Yeah, you could just do that with Remix.
Yeah.
You just don't include the script tag in the document.
Oh,
And
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
I
sure you
dig
could do it with anything, really. What is it? Adonis? Yeah, Adonis has like its own templating language. I think it's called Ace. You just slap Pug on something and call it good.
Yeah, I know you could do it, but I just wasn't sure if there's a tech that was suited to that and why you would ever choose to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just more of a thought experiment, but I'm sure it exists. I mean, we can run Node in the browser now, right? Or something like, wasn't that?
Oh,
what was
that
the
was
thing
like
where it was,
Node AI containers. It was like it was one of the code platforms.
I need to get rid of this cat. Really, this is problematic.
Web containers, yeah, it's WebAssembly.
I'll be right back.
See you, Bucky. Yeah, I've been needing to listen to those rather, not read a podcast.
Okay. Well, anyway, we're getting on an hour here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start bringing it down. So
Yep.
I guess the question that I want to know is, what are people's Pagneys? What are the probably going to need it that you'd recommend?
You probably need a cool landing page, a cool marketing page with scroll jacking. I think that's a Pagny.
A blog. That's true. I can't tell you how many times I've bolted a blog onto some app.
Definitely a chat feature, right? Every app evolves to include chat, right? That's one of the things.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess a lot of those things you should probably just buy, right?
What? No, why? No, reinvent the wheel, Sean. It's fun. It's educational. And it's easy to maintain.
Oh my god. It's job security. Yeah. So that's what we want to hear is what Pagneys you got. Probably gonna need it.
You're probably going to need to send us that info is a Twitter client and account. We're not verified. We're not cool enough. We don't have a blue check mark. But you can tweet at us on Twitter. DNCcast. Sean is Sean Washbot. I don't know. Are you verified, Sean? Do you ever verify?
I haven't tried to get verified.
Well, send it to Sean Washbot. It may or may not get to the real Sean.
I'm open to additional interpretations of me.
We all are, Sean. We all are. We're just waiting. And I'm Shrockwell.
Everything we talked about today, all the different libraries and blog posts and stuff like that are going to be available in our show notes. So if you're looking for those, you can head on over to dnc.show. Of course, they should be listed in the podcast player of your choice.
And we're always recording Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, twitch.tv/DNCcast. Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it. You enjoy it? Chat seems to enjoy it. Got a good crowd out there tonight. You could be one of them. Come on by.
Next time I won't hit the lasagna as hard, so I won't be as tired.
To put some uppers in that. Caffeine, crush the caffeine pills on top there. Good to go.
Oh, we're getting lots of Pagneys in the chat. Log storage with query metrics and automatic issue reporting. I can +1 that.
Argon 2, Guardian, Live View, Tailwind. I agree with half of these.
If you can't make it to the shows on Thursday nights, then we have a Discord. So if you're looking for a community to plug into, or you want to talk to more people around the DNC community, you should join us in the Discord. There will be an invite waiting for you in the show notes.
So I just realized that Jess is watching. Hi, Jess. She was trying to call Bucky upstairs because she saw him on the stream. I was trying to get him to come away.
It's funny.
Oh, man. No, you're awesome. Did you say Discord? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. Well, I know what my Pagny is. So I'm probably going to need a vacation. So I'll be out next week. I don't even know who the guest is. It's going to be a surprise for everyone. So tune in for that. GitHub Copilot. Let's get to that in the after show because I want to look at that.
All right. Well. Good luck with disconnecting, freeing your mind. Try doing wall stands upside down. I don't know.
I mean, I got a week off. I think that'll be enough of a disconnect. I'll be.
That does sound nice.
Yeah, I'll be ready to get back to it. Happy 4th, and talk to you later.
All right. See you. It'll be a happy 4th if no idiots shoot rockets into the forest and light it on fire.
That's. Well, it's going to be. I was going to say it's wet here, but
it's
you guys here. Are. No, you're screwed.
That's your favorite activity? You can pay my fire insurance premium for the next 6 months if you want. They don't mess around, but over here they'll send firemen around to the yards, and if they don't like how yours looks, you get cited, and if you get cited, you could lose your insurance.
So what's the deal with this GitHub Copilot thing, anyways?
GitHub Copilot.
What's the deal?
Have you looked at it yet, or
Nope, not even
Okay.
a little bit.
I'll let you look at it a bit. Oh, Greg
Alright.
Shear updated his blog. Eh?
Blog about it. I'm trying to fill a
His blag.
screen here. It gets suggestions for whole lines or entire. Oh, this is like that VS Code plugin.
Yeah, Tab 9 or similar.
Yeah.
The
I had to
different-
turn that off because it kept putting typos in my code.
This one's real interesting. So if you look on YouTube or on Twitter, you can actually see more people using it than aside from this, just these kind of like use cases.
Mhm.
But Tab 9, like, as far as I'm aware, it didn't like autocomplete full statements or functions. It
Right. It's more just sort of word.
words and types and things like that.
Oh, look at this.
So this like can straight up generate full on functions for you, and you can cycle through them, I guess, somehow. Yeah, so it's actually like it won't tell you about a city. I won't tell the city about. My city's or my lawn is cleaned up. That's what I've been working on. Yeah, it's OpenAI. It's using the GPT-3 thing that you may have saw a while back, people tweeting about. And yeah, it's real interesting. So it's not like a code completer. It's more of what they call it is like a code synthesizer, which is it's strange to think about that, but it's not just completing snippets that already exist in GitHub. It's actually kind of like building you snippets. So what they say is that 0.01% of the time you'll actually get verbatim code that already like was from a project. Instead, it's actually generating what it thinks is the proper thing for you.
Boy, nothing I I have less faith in than fuzzy code completion.
So there seems to be like two sides of takes primarily. So take number one, the most like the biggest take I've seen on Twitter is, we all got to get new jobs, going back to McDonald's, blah, kind of
Yeah,
like
that's the funny take. Yeah,
the funny take, exactly. And then the other take is this is borderline dangerous, and yeah, like for example, Chris Keithley was talking about this, not necessarily on like the dangerous side of things, but he was talking about like they used what's the license they used for this, Anthony? GPL code. And so basically he was like, listen, I don't write all these open source libraries just for some giant company to come and ingest it into their system and use it for free. Mm-hmm. And so he kind of like went on this whole list of things like why he was, sort of against it and why he thought it was a bad idea. So there's a lot of like sort of legal questions around it. So you can actually go to the bottom of this page and they have like a disclaimer at the bottom and kind of like hand wavy stuff around. Like, we're not doing anything illegal here by, taking code that's not licensed properly. But there's a lot of people writing and talking about the legal ramifications of this. Now, on the other end of the spectrum of like this can be dangerous is that a lot of the screenshots that people are posting, the code is introducing bugs in non-obvious ways that people probably might not catch.
Well, yeah, because you look at it and you're like, oh, it's now you have to PR your own code that you didn't, that you just wrote.
Yeah, and I mean, you could be writing business logic code where you may not be a domain expert, and it's suggesting this stuff, and it may look right, but you don't know enough.
Yeah, and
right?
again, from a security perspective, if you're pulling it in, malicious code from something, it's like when what is it, 4chan trained like Cortana or whatever, some Twitter AI thing to just be like a racist, piece of shit.
So
someone could happen.
Someone was auto-completing like sentences in here. Like they'd write a comment with the thing and it would auto-complete some random sentence. So yeah, like Anthony's talking, like you're always going to want to read the code that it's writing and vet it and delete things and things like that. But it's more about accelerating you through busyness, like stuff that takes a long time that maybe can seem wasteful. Like if you can accelerate through some of this rudimentary stuff, you get to the business logic thinking faster, the business side of things faster, the creative side of things faster, I suppose. And then on the security standpoint, like I saw some people talking about, okay, so, queue the people spinning up repositories full of security issues.
Yeah,
like
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
filling GitHub up with them, so kind of like tainting the model. I'm sure GitHub is working on this stuff. I'm sure they like it's not like they haven't thought of that, but
yeah, these are all things that they've thought about.
yeah, but it's like go to Twitter and search for GitHub Copilot and just look for some examples that people are actually writing. So one example I saw was somebody was writing SQL queries by like writing a comment, kind of describing what they wanted to do, and it would write a SQL query in the code that kind of did what the comment was. That's kind of cool. But I don't think that, I guess to be clear, I don't think it's like coming for jobs or taking jobs or anything like that. It's purely it's not a replacement, it's an augmentation, in my opinion.
I'm trying to understand if this is even correct.
Yeah, people were shooting holes in the I think in the very first one above, there's like an issue that someone pointed out. They're like, wow, this is a very tricky bug that you just introduced.
It doesn't make sense for this to be here. The cache to be in the memo. I guess it actually does. It's captured in the closure. Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah, that works.
Someone else was tweeting examples of they were building something that was working with the Stripe API, and it was like auto completing Postgres JSON query filters for them.
Flight reports.
Also, Bruce Tate, I think, from Elixir, he said that it was working surprisingly well with Elixir.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not of Elixir, but from the Elixir community.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's cool to try it. It's cool to try and stuff. Like,
yeah.
And they answer a lot of our concerns here or address them.
Like, I could, it'd be cool if I could just like type a couple characters and slaps auth in and just move on. Like, how is that much different from inheriting a package or like using a package? I guess it is different than using a package, but
Well, you're into generator territory at that point, right? You're generating auth.
Yeah. You're essentially, you're code-genning, but from a machine learning model instead of a template file somewhere.
I don't need Copilot, Sean. I'm an actual pilot.
I mean, I'm interested to try it out. Like, if it does make me more efficient, that's cool. I'm all for that. So,
look, here's the server.
Package main. Boop.
Done. Ship it.
Let me look at this. Hold on. HTTP.handle. You got your handler func, which takes a function. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Go expert, so I don't know. It looks familiar to me, having done this a few times.
That's definitely Go.
Can I just say that I really like Go's logo? I really like it.
The little hamster guy?
No, the type. Like if you look in the file where it says server.go, the logo to the left of it, the type logo of it, I really like it.
What's in front of it? Little
it's
speed,
like fast.
Speed? Yeah. It's going fast.
Speaking of, if anyone knows how to catch a gopher, I have one that needs to be extracted, and it's a big one.
Extracted?
I'm being polite. It's a large gopher.
We're gonna need pictures for evidence. You got any photos?
Well, I mean, a cat could probably fit in the hole that it's digging. So that's a big boy, a big gopher.
Technical preview. Danger, danger. This is Microsoft speak right here. Technical preview.
Oh no! Create shipping address, and it just assumes an American only address.
This should be postal code. Also, where's address line 2?
Yeah. Yeah. What is shipping method?
Yes, the answer is yes. It's just a string. Everything's just a
No.
elaborated string.
Your database is
Why
the
does your
structured
shipping
logs.
address have email?
The database is structured logs. That's essentially functional programming, right? You just have to construct it every time.
Yeah. What are we doing? Event sourcing? You're talking event
Basically.
sourcing?
Yeah.
Parse expenses.
Document driven development. That's what we're after here.
Yeah, I mean,
People were also like, okay, it's generating the code, but then it starts generating your test. Now you got a real problem.
who's test the tester?
Oh
right?
no. We have 1,000 unit tests. Asterisk. It was they were all written by an AI that also wrote the code. I don't know Python, so
This is a problem because, oh man, I've been knee deep in currency conversions and currency stuff. I don't want to get into it, but it's scary, real scary. The exception is the norm, just like dates and times. Currencies are complicated.
but yeah, so that's GitHub Copilot. I think it could be really cool. Really useful. I don't know. I'm interested to see where it goes. I don't feel threatened by it in the slightest.
No, I don't either.
Oh, that looks familiar too. Line 15. When I was picking up Go and I was like, where are all the ORMs? Where they're at? And everyone's like, dude, just write it in line and scan all the rows back. I was like, you have to scan the rows back? I have to do this data conversion by hand. And now that I'm in TypeScript, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I just have to scan the rows back. I guess Prisma does it for me, but yeah, you still have to like inputs and outputs because it's typed, right?
Cold Fusion had this great feature called subqueries. They're called subqueries. And so yeah, when you were performing database queries, it was just raw SQL, right? But they also had the concept of subqueries where if you had a bunch of data in memory, you could write a SQL like language against data in memory. Like it was a strict subset of SQL where you could do
Right.
Basic things, selecting and ordering and whatever, where clauses.
Is
But
it linked like that?
Yeah, it's very much like LINQ, except it was not like LINQ is C# like syntax, stretched to the extreme.
Mhm.
Whereas this was like its own tag, like its own language, within the language, just like you're putting in raw strings and it would do the thing. The subqueries. Yeah.
The heck?
Anyway,
I thought I was uploading the show.
is it not working again?
No, I just maybe closed the tab.
I got to just set up a proper bucket or FTP server or something for us for the show stuff. One of these days.
You'll have to let me know if you get the episode twice then.
Okay, I might. There's a fun bug in. So I have a Synology box behind the wall there, and Sean uploads the audio to it. And the Synology has a Dropbox feature, so like he just has a URL he logs into and it just drops it in. And one of the features of the Dropbox is you can specify in text box what's your name, right? So that way when he uploads the file, it puts it in a folder and I know what his name is, who uploaded it. But at one point in the past, Sean wrote Sean with a capital S, and then he also wrote it one time with a lowercase s.
It makes different directories, right?
Well, kind of. So now the Synology uses ext4, I think, right? It uses some kind of Linux operating system or file system, which I think is case sensitive. But I'm pretty sure Mac OS, when looking at that over the network, is case insensitive. Anyway, it gets real confused. One of the folders just randomly appear and disappear depending on like what has focus. One of them's empty, one of them's not. It's one of those things.
That's frustrating.
Data. DNC.
I almost just
notes.
closed the tab again, so
Don't stop doing that.
I'm doing stuff over here.
All right. Now, disk station. DNC. Guest audio Dropbox. I should I don't know. It's being okay right now.
It's usually just when I'm about ready to do the show notes and I click on it. I get the spinning wheel and I know.
Are you able to put up last week's?
Not yet.
Okay.
Today
Coming
was a little,
soon. Coming
it's a
soon,
little
folks.
wild.
It's okay. You want me to take care of it?
I mean, I won't say no, but you don't have to.
I just don't want to get two episodes behind.
Yeah.
macOS is case insensitive. Right. I think that's the root of the problem here. Although it is over a network, so yeah, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'll just do the show notes right after this, and I'll upload it. Sorry for the late
Okay.
show, folks, for last week. We just, so it goes. Yeah, I had a problem with the case insensitive thing one time where, what was it? Oh, yeah. I used to have a URL shortener website. I made it as a fun weekend project in Rails for my own personal use. And it quickly grew out of hand as the bots took hold of it and turned it into just porn and, spam
Yeah.
links.
As happens on every.
Yeah,
every
it's just going to
propaganda.
happen, right? And so at
Yeah.
some point, and it got so bad that Google actually blacklisted it. So if you tried to go to it, Chrome would show up this big, scary red screen and be like, hey, don't go to this link. It's probably bad for your computer. So great. Probably time to shut this service down.
Right.
But some people I know had links on it and stuff. But I didn't want to run the Rails app anymore. So what I did was I wrote a script that took all of the database entries for all the URLs and generated a whole directory of static HTML files that were just redirects. So I could just throw it up in S3 and be done. Because I didn't want it to hit the database. I just basically statically generated every single redirect and then just hosted them as files on S3. Which was fine, except the URLs were case sensitive. The URLs were case sensitive, right? Because I used my own little short ID thing, hash. And so that was a real problem because I had done all this generation on my Linux server, right, where the database was. Wrote the script to dump all these files out, but as soon as I downloaded them to my local file system and tried to upload them to S3, it was really unhappy because of the case insensitivity.
I like that.
Really dumb. I forget how I ended up doing it. I think I ended up having to just upload an S3 right from Linux because that was the only way I could get it up there. Yeah.
So a little community meta, but I wanted to give a shout out to Sultan for securing a new job.
Hey, sweet.
Congrats. He's been talking for a while about wanting to get into front end world, and that's what he's going to be doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anything specifically, or did he?
He's here. He's
He's
we're
lurking.
chatting. We're having a side conversation.
Oh, all right. I'm missing it. Well,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, congrats, man. He's worked hard for it. Shut up. See
Oh,
we do
nice.
React stuff. Yeah.
Sweet. Didn't sound like you were
Uh,
super happy at your old job, so hopefully this is better.
Yeah.
Sean, you've tried
Uh,
Obsidian, right?
Yeah. I use it. It's all
You
right.
do use it.
I use Bear too. I don't know.
Okay. I know, yeah, I haven't used Obsidian at all. looks cool on paper.
It's nice. Like it kind of lacks some of the polish of like a true desktop, like a native app, like Bear is or something like that. But it's fine. It's just
It's fine.
You can take notes with it.
That should be the new name of our show. DNC : It's fine.
Yeah, Bear feels just like writing. So actually, the one reason I started checking out Bear again was because they have a new update coming soon. You can actually try out like a sample application of it. Let me find it on their blog. The update looks real nice.
Anthony, did you change your image in the past 10 minutes? Your avatar? Because I swear to God, 10 minutes ago we had this. We had you playing the double bass, and now we've got
Correct.
cell shaded. It's cool that it picked it up.
So there's the Panda is what they're calling their next version of their rendering engine, I suppose. But it looks really nice.
I think it was you, Anthony. Were you're the person who was tweeting about people with cartoon avatars? I thought that was funny to see
he
the
added me.
collection
And
of them.
I didn't know what was happening.
I didn't know
like,
either. It was pretty funny though. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's really the way to go because like you use a photo, it's just you can only age so much. The cartoons never age.
I think Swift would be fun to learn a little bit as well. People have really nice things to say about it.
Would you like to
It
build
just
my
feels-
app?
It just feels so, I don't know, like what else can you do with it besides make Mac stuff?
Realistically, not much right now.
So I would like to make Mac stuff. I do not want to deal with App Store. So that's really the biggest thing that deters me from
What's
it.
wrong?
Is I
What's
just
wrong
don't
with
do
App
it.
Store?
I just don't want to do it.
It's easier now than it's ever been, and the review cycle's pretty fast.
I just have had a lot of friends rage into a Discord DM about the App Store and arbitrary disapproval, like unapproves and all this stuff. So, but yeah, Swift itself sounds cool. Next big thing
Yeah.
for deep learning. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what's his face? The guy who basically invented Swift. What's his name? I'm blanking.
I listened to a whole podcast with him as a guest, and I don't remember.
Yeah. Oh, he was on ATP twice. Chris Latner, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
I
on
listened
ATP.
to something.
Yeah.
Good.
No, that's all. But yeah, he was supposed to bring TensorFlow to Swift, and he was talking about it. And it
He was talking about the LLVM, and I was like, "What's that?" I was just making dinner, listening to the podcast. I still kind of know what it is, but
didn't he go to Tesla too at some point? I feel like he did. But
what's that?
excuse
It's my
me.
reaction to a lot of things. What is that? I don't know.
I know some of those words. Oh, now we're getting the Wikipedia paste in the chat.
Born
He
1978.
served briefly as vice president of Autopilot Software. Yeah, he's been jumping around a lot. But yes, he did. Is the main author of LLVM. What happens if I click this really long thing? Oh, it actually is pretty readable. Clang, LLVM, Swift. Google Brain. Didn't even know that was a thing.
I know what Clang is because I've struggled with it a lot in Ruby land. Specifically
native-
when dealing with OpenNSSL and
Yep,
the freaking
yep.
Nokogiri.
Every time. Every time.
Well, time for lunch. This fan spin up and you leave.
Computer takes off.
Well, to be fair though, I've been the work projects I'm on. Just like anytime I have to restart the Webpack server, it's like, all right, the computer starts levitating.
Oh, remember? Well, I don't know. I say tuple, but tuple.app, right?
Mm-hmm.
Code sharing thing that was pretty new.
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to have this really performant native Mac experience.
Mm-hmm.
I just bought a month of it to try it. It's fine.
It's fine.
Like,
I've used it before.
It's fine, but like it's not. It was touted to be this big thing, and like it still uses a ton of CPU and is fine. I don't know. We've just been using Google Meet, and that's also been fine, but it's a little nicer, a little higher res. It has a cool thing where you can slap a ship it like animation on your person's screen, which is fun.
Cute.
It's cute. It's cute. The first time.
The first time.
But other than that, I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wish more people. We could standardize in VS Code so we could do that. But
Oh,
Yeah.
IFT did it. 30 minutes late. Thanks, IFT. If
yeah, I saw that 9:34 p.m.
New bot. Might have to make one of those too, huh?
Put it on your personal API.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. That's a really good idea. I've got a couple of project spaces open on Railway, so create project.
Here's the thing: what would you develop it in? If you wanted to have a like those people who do those art installations that are like this clock will run for 10,000 years, right? It's in a bunker somewhere, and like it. What technology could you start an API in today that would continue to grow and be stable and maintained ad infinitum?
Let's just use Node, huh?
No, I mean it's got to be.
Oh, they have a starter for Code Server. That's kind of neat.
Who does?
Railway.
Oh.
So
For
you
running
can,
locally?
connecting VS Code to a code server and running it on there instead of your local computer.
Oh, okay.
So if I got sick of my fans always running and not being able to program and share on Zoom at the same time, I could put it on code server. That would really be tough though, because I'd have to like move all the VPN stuff onto it as well.
Right. Cloud is just someone else's computer, Sean.
Man, like these React apps get so big so fast with so many dependencies, and it takes so long to compile them. And you click save, and if HMR works at all, it's like 10 seconds before you see a change in the UI.
Don't you have like a super powerful PC like across the room or like on the same desk?
Yes.
Couldn't you just leave that running with this nice quiet fans and just have a local LAN?
Not technically supposed to.
Oh, because the
This is-
VPN nonsense.
Because the work computer too, they have software called Kanji.
Right.
Kanji.
But all right, putting that aside,
Yes, I could install VS Code Server on that in a container.
yeah,
and
that's
connect
what I'm
to it.
saying.
That'd
That's
be
what I'm
freaking
saying.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Can't do-
Why don't we
can't
think
do
of
it.
doing that?
Because my client will know. They're creepy like that. So I was looking at logs one day and I was like, that URL, that's not the right URL. And so I went to it and I landed on this weird like broken thing with a expired cert. And I was like, hey, do you guys know this cert expired? And like I found something that this big time cybersecurity firm doesn't know about. And finally one of the guys comes back and he's like, yes, you found my sinkhole.
You sinkhole? Is that like a honeypot?
For bots, a honeypot, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. See you later.
You got me. I'm stuck. Help me get out.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
you know?
it says
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
when you go into it, It's just a GIF of like a cowboy, like a silhouette of a cowboy on a horse, and it says "Welcome to the rodeo," or "The rodeo's inside," or something like that. I was like, "What is this?" Welcome to the rodeo. What have I stumbled into? And I'm sure that he already knew about it, of course.
Is this some kind of alternate reality game?
Right. Yes, you stumbled upon the sinkhole. Ignore it for now. I'm like, okay.
I learned, again, going back to talking about subdomains, stumbled across this by accident. So traditionally what I've done, I mentioned this last week, is like would set up like a bunch of fake domains in my host file, right? Pointing at 127.0.0.1. Anyway, did you know that you can just do whatever you want .localhost, and that will just go to your local computer? Like .localhost works as a top level domain like .com or .net, but you can do anything .localhost.
It's too many letters to be typing.
Mac OS will happily redirect it to your local machine. I don't know if it's a Mac thing or if that's a web spec, internet spec, but that was made things a lot easier to deal with. And we stumbled across we came across it by accident because someone just typed it in and was like, wait, that works? Now you know. And now you know.
I always learn about new projects by looking at the Railway starter list. There's a clone of like Pocket Link bookmarking thing.
Is that a bunch of like repos you can clone and spin up, play around with?
Yep. They've got like, of course, Rails and Express stuff, and they got Dino and Django and Elixir and Phoenix. What else they got? Some blog stuff, Laravel, some WASM things.
I thought Railway was just a JS thing. No?
Mm-mm. No, it can run anything, especially with Docker. It has like native support for JS and Ruby and Go and some other things. It just uses build packs behind the scenes.
Sure. Heroku will be its own demise. They make all the build pack spec and become the standard and 10-factor deployment, whatever the hell that's called. And now, not that they're going anywhere. I'm sure they're doing fine, but boy, there's a lot of Heroku compatible services out there now.
Yeah, it's interesting to listen to Greg talk about the challenges, like, stuff they're working on or things they're running into. Basically, like crypto miners everywhere. Anytime you have like a free web server offering, crypto miners show up in hordes.
Oh, yeah. You need a Railway app starter for Redwood.
Ba-doop-doo. Well, about that time.
Yep.
Getting pretty late over there.
Yeah. But have a good weekend.
Yeah. The Canadians were out today. Not a single meeting.
Nice.
And I don't have a single meeting tomorrow either. It's really strange.
Nice.
I didn't pull Jira open once because we finished the sprint yesterday. I've been going off the script, just going wild, merging MMRs before anyone looks at them. I'm the lead. I can do what I want.
Look at me.
No, it's like
I'm the approver now. Well, good.
All roads to production go through me anyway, so. And several other people at a different company, so.
Cool.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging around, everybody.
Yeah, thanks. This is fun. Really appreciate you guys sticking around.
that lasagna is really sticking with me, so I'll be asleep momentarily.
Sounds like a plan.
All right. See you, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.